Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video we're going to be doing an all drugstore tutorial for back to school. So everything I've pulled out is very affordable and this is going to be a very quick face. So you can start out by priming your face. I have the L'Oreal Magic Lumi Primer. If you have dry skin or normal skin, this will be great. If you have oily skin, you probably would want to use something less dewy looking. But there are tons of primers at the drugstore, so I'm just applying that with my hand. All the brushes I'm using are also drugstore. For foundations, I picked out a couple. If you don't need real full coverage, you can use a BB or a CC cream. This one is the Maybelline Dream Pure BB. And then I also have the Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. So I'm going to use the Fit Me Foundation. This is in shade 130. And this is good because it also is SPF 18. So, I mean, it's not going to be... You may still get some sun, you know, in August or whatever when you're going back to school. So I want to make sure that I offer that. My biggest complaint is there's no pump on this, so you have to kind of do that. Now this is a crown brush. These were on Haute, HAUTE.com, and I think this brush is under $10. Popping that in, you can totally use your hands, especially if you're using a BB cream. I would recommend going down your neck as well to make sure that the color blends in with your chest. You don't have to put additional product, but just kind of take it down your neck as much as you can with what you have. And then when you think you're all done blending your foundation, go over it one more time with the brush. That's something that has really helped me get that flawless finish. You may also prefer using a beauty blender if you're using like a very thick foundation, because you add a little water to the beauty blender and it kind of waters down the foundation in a good way. Makes it like blend more naturally into the skin. But alright, I'm a foundation brush girl, so for concealer today I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. This is in the shade medium. I would say to apply a thin layer of foundation all over your face, and then if you need additional coverage like I do under your eyes or on any pimples or anything, you can just add a little bit more concealer to that area. If you have oily skin and it's acne prone, I'm speaking to the teenagers, you can definitely use the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Foundation. That one's I think like $6 and it's great for it's great for oily skin, and it's a little too dry for my dry skin. It kind of is a little too matte finished. You could also use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. That one's really good too. If you're going to use a brightening concealer, I would use that like just on the center of the face, and then if you're going to use another concealer to cover up like pimples or anything like that, you'd use one that's the same color as your foundation. You don't want to put brightening concealer on top of anything you're trying to cover, because that will make it stand out more. I'm going to set my concealer with the Maybelline Dream Wonder Powder. This one is in 25 Buff Beige, and I may go into the e.l.f. Clarifying Pressed Powder. This is an Ivory. It's a little too light, but I'm going to use that just for the under eyes on the palette it came with. For the rest of the face, I'll use the Maybelline one. This is just a big old powder brush, and I'm just making sure to stay matte all day. If you have oily skin, you definitely want to set your foundation to make it last through the end of the school day. But if you have dry skin like me, you could probably skip this step. It just makes your face look a little bit more cakey if you're not careful. So if you don't need it, you don't need it. Okay, for bronzer today, I'm using the Wet n Wild Color Icon one. This one is in Ticket to Brazil. And I'm just using a fluffy brush. This one's by Karity Cosmetics. I did a review on those on my channel this week, so if you remember, I'll link that below. But I'm just applying that kind of on the, this is a very light bronzer, which is why I chose it for this tutorial, because I feel like for back to school, for school, you don't really need to be, you know, all out glam. You don't need a contour and stuff. You just want something that's going to be quick and get you out of the door fast. So I'm just applying that kind of here and then up in a 3 shape. So I do from the top of the forehead, down the cheek is a 3, you see? And you do underneath the chin, especially if you have a little bit of extra weight on you. It's good to put a little bit of bronzer there because it kind of makes this part recede. Anywhere that the sun would naturally hit, so your forehead, things like that. So I just blend it in. Even after I think I'm done blending, I do it again. No more product on the brush. I'm just trying to take it down my neck. Just make sure everything's the same color and looks good. For blush today, I'm using this Milani powder blush. This is in Coral Cove. It's one of those ones that looks like a rose. And you kind of have to take a light hand with this, but Just applying that to the apples of the cheeks, kind of in a line like this. But I want the most product deposited right here. So anywhere else that I touch with this brush is not getting direct color impact. They're just getting a little bit of color, whatever's left on the brush. For highlighter, I'm using this Wet n Wild Color Icon one. This one is in Reserve Your Cabana. They call it a bronzer, but it's clearly not a bronzer. And to apply that highlight, I'm using the e.l.f. Small Tapered brush. I'm applying that right at the top of the cheekbones. This is like $5 and is gorgeous. And kind of around the brow in a C shape. And then a little bit down the center of the face. So I'm doing right at the cupid's bow of the mouth, down the nose, just a little bit for a little bit of a brightening effect. Okay, so that's super simple for the face. For brows, I pulled out two options for brows. You have the Tinted Brow Mascara and a brow pencil. Just depends on how much coverage you need and what your preference is. I personally like the brow mascara, so that's what I'm going to use, but the pencil is just as simple. I just apply it throughout the brow, trying to make sure that the lightest part of the brow is the part that's on the inside, because that's what gives them the most natural look. If anything, if you don't need any, if you don't have any bald spots in your brows and you don't need any help with that, you could just use a clear brow mascara, clear brow gel, to just set them in place so they don't move around all day. I really like NYX for brow products from the drugstore. For eye primer today, I'm actually not using a standard eye primer. I'm going to use my concealer and just put a dot on each eye, blend them out with my finger, and then we'll get on with eyeshadow. I decided to pull out my Maybelline The Nudes palette today, the Blushed Nudes, and this has a lot of like cooler tones and rosy pinks. I just want to mention a few eyeshadow companies that I really like if you're looking for drugstore eyeshadows that are pretty good quality. Wet n Wild makes some of the best drugstore eyeshadows, very inexpensive and very good. I also really like the Milani Bella Eyes ones. These are about $4 or $5 a piece. And then the ColourPop Super Shock shadows are really good too, so if you want to shop online. The first thing I'm doing is I'm taking the e.l.f. blending brush. This is $3. And the Maybelline The Nudes palette. The colors are not labeled, so I'm just going to tell you kind of what the color looks like. I'm using like this soft, like nudish color, just a soft nude. And I'm applying that all over the lid, from the bottom of the lid all the way up to the brow bone. This is just kind of setting that concealer that we use as the eye primer in place, and giving a nice base, and then it'll make the other shadows blend a little easier, having a layer beneath them. Going in with Milani's Bella Eyes, this is Bella Cappuccino. It's just like a satiny brown color. And I'm applying that with the e.l.f. crease brush, which is just another $3 brush. And I'm applying that in the crease and just a little bit above the crease. This is just a couple of shades darker than my skin tone, and it's just going to provide like a natural shadow, a natural look for the crease. It kind of makes a nice transition from like the darkness of the eyeshadows up to the brow bone where it gets pretty light. So it just softens that transition a little. The rest of the lid, I'm just using this color here. It's kind of like a bronze, it's like a bronzy golden color. And with that, I'm using the e.l.f. contour brush, another great $3 brush, and I'm just applying that to the lid. Like a rose gold shade, but doesn't matter. Just something that's got a little bit of color, nothing too dramatic. We're keeping this very daytime, very appropriate for almost any situation. Okay, now if you want to take it up just another notch, this is basically all I was going to do for the eyeshadow, but you could take one of these darker brown shades in this palette, or any palette actually, and apply that in the crease. So you just start here at the outer corner and just kind of like put that in that crease line. And then just draw like a V here from the lash line out and then up into the crease, make a little V. I'm going to do that on the other eye and then we'll blend it so it looks a little bit more natural. Going back in with that e.l.f. crease brush, and I am going to just buff out that dark shadow with no additional product on the brush. It's just for blending's sake. And I'm taking that e.l.f. contour brush again in one of those darker shadows, and I'm just applying that on the lower lash line, the outer like half of the lower lash line. I'm going to curl my lashes and apply some mascara real quickly. Alright, so just apply mascara to the upper lashes. Now I'm using this Wet n Wild Balm Stain. This is the moisturizing lip color in the color Rico Mauve. The lips are definitely a place where you can have a little fun for school and kind of like change it up, use a liquid lipstick, something that's going to last all day, but I wanted something that was easy to apply without a mirror, and you could just touch it up after lunch. And then the last step would either be to apply more powder if you think you need it, or I'm just going to go in with the NYX Dewy Finish Setting Spray and set all that in place. Alright, this is it. This is my back to school makeup with all drugstore products. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget you can always live it up and personalize it and make it your own, but this is just a really easy way to get out the door quickly in the morning and look great. Thanks for watching. Bye.